I am Ashley from Ashley Rose Exposed, and I want to talk to you about adrenal fatigue. At the end of the day, you could progress on a soul level to the point you're over things, but your body is not over it. At the end of it all, even if you were positive and you pushed, even though in the face of adversity and severe trauma, there is still the chance that you could get adrenal fatigue. If you have a toxic load that's too high and an energetic toxic load that's too high, you can get adrenal fatigue. I've suffered my entire life. I lived in a household where I was abused daily on multiple levels, and not just abuse, but I didn't have any outlets, and I didn't have a normal childhood. I didn't have friends. When I spent time with my parent, I was in a coffee shop until the early hours of the morning. That was my life. Or I was stuck at babysitters where there was always some kind of conflict. And the only good times were when I was at babysitters. So maybe I should be thanking my mom for making her choices and um, um, having babysitters, because that was my break from the severity of my life. Um, but adrenal fatigue is exhausting. You have no energy, and if some kind of stressful moment happens, you can get really angry, and the adrenaline is like taxing you just because the fact that something set your internal alarm system, it set it off. And so I wake up in the morning on my own, even there's no alarm, and it's like, what time is it? Just the fact that the thought that there's the wrong time, or I'm approaching, I have to get my child to school, it sets my adrenal off. Like every little thing sets my adrenals off. And I have PMDD, and not only does my adrenals get my not only do my adrenals get impacted, but then it all the stress ends up pushing me into PMDD early, and it's actually caused quite some damage. And now my life may not be as bad now in some ways, but the damage is long term. Long term stress, long term trauma, excessive traumatic events can help launch you into adrenal fatigue. It damages your body. Trauma damages you. And people that know me know that I get mad, or my PMDD mood swings happen, not in a professional sense. I've never had issues in a professional sense, and not even had issues against people in an academic sense or whatnot as a professional before I quit the profession that I was in. I never had that kind of issue, and I just become reclusive and deal with the trauma. I experienced excessive trauma even in the last year. Um, I'm getting into TMI right now, so if you don't want some TMI, you need to close this video down. It's not like the most horrific thing, but it isn't pleasant either. I ended up brutally assaulted on a first date, and logically, I felt bad for this person, like they were the victim, and I was trying to rationalize with my perpetrator, like, why would you do this? And then I ended up like, oh my god, I can't go dating. The world is unsafe. This is going to happen again. So I stayed in a relationship with someone so abusive and violating. For 7 months, I tried to get rid of them, and then I ended up pregnant. And I unfortunately am against abortion, but I ended up getting an abortion, and I'm not ashamed of myself anymore. Pro I think pieces of me are pro choice, but not completely. And then, um, what was I saying? Oh yeah, sorry. Um, I just was, that happened and it damaged some of my insides and I hemorrhaged for months and my body wouldn't recover every day for months. And I didn't recover until about maybe January. And then I tried to get rid of this person, and then they'd go and cry and act all lunatic and like it's the definition of a sociopathic narcissist. And anyone knows on a spiritual level, empathic and highly sensitive people are very vulnerable to these leeches, these damaging creatures of people. And then when I left the person, they brutally attacked me in my home, and then I became pregnant again and again. I got an abortion, and again. The shame, the guilt, the trauma of this. And then a high stress, burnout, negative, job. I'd go to work at night, and my insulin systems, my adrenal systems, they all flared. And then I went on placement and I was there more times in a week than I should have been, but I was always playing catch up. If it was a PMDD day bad enough, and I'd be like, huh, no, do not feel good. And I had injuries, and these injuries and my eating habits exceeded my adrenal load basically and my hormonal load, and then again another injury, like one was to the bones in my feet and my ankle and bruising and tendons and ligaments, and then my cartilage in my knee over the Christmas break and whatnot was all knocked out of proportion, and someone at a nightclub kicked in my leg and yeah. And then you have the load of social work, education, the social service work field, and that taxes your adrenals. You have to stay up all night sometimes just to get work done. Plus, I'm a parent, a full-time parent. My daughter only sees her dad like once a month, pretty much, and then a couple of hours on Sunday. So, really, add that, then excessive trauma for 7 years of dealing with crap from narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic people. And then you have family issues to deal with on top of that. Like all these things, these traumatic events in your lifestyle, it leads to adrenal fatigue. So if at the day you think someone's handling so well, so many things, eventually physically their body's going to fail. So the grass doesn't mean it's greener or they're not suffering, because eventually adrenal fatigue will catch up. And long-term stress is a culprit. And I learned that in my first year of social sciences, that this, and I'm like learning it now as a physical thing, what did me in 7 years of hell, and then before that. But the 7 years of hell probably were the most damaging. The last 7 years of my life, plus 10 months in utero, were the most damaging time. I never had time to recover. At one point, I fixed my life as best I can, but eventually these things catch right up. So the best thing I could say to people is change your lifestyle. Even if you handle the trauma, your lifestyle eventually should change. The sooner the better, because long term, stress kills your body. And food choices stress out your organs. Food choices and sleep habits stress out your organs, and then your organs stress out your adrenals. Fear is part of the fight or flight response, and the fear Fear is your alarm system going off. Mine's damaged, and I lived in a severe fear paralysis. I wasn't going to amount to anything. Um, there's a part two to this coming probably, but that's the best thing I can tell people right now, and you need to kind of understand that.